Hey guys, Obi here, and welcome to my first mental health sort of chat. I'm doing it from my living room because, I've got nowhere else to do it really. So yeah, lighting's not perfect, but it's not going to be a video. It's going to be straight chatting about what's been going on. So I'm going to talk about how something that I did at 13 haunted me and never spoke it to anyone until I was 25, and how it took another 2 years after that to where I am now to finally sort of forgive myself for it. So we'll sort of, we'll shoot back to when I was 13. So those people who know me will know that my dad died when I was 13. It's probably the most defining moment of my childhood. It changed me pretty much instantly. At, a critical pinnacle point of puberty as well. It wasn't the best time for me. It was hard, and so it was ill for a while. So we'll go back to like sort of the start of him getting ill. So like one of the first strokes he had was like in this room, like over there near the door. He's got off the couch. It was a bit shaky, and he went and he like just sort of like fell over. And I was lucky I was there. I just caught him. I didn't know what was going on. He's fine. At the time I knew he had diabetes. I assumed it was like a funny turn. Your Mars bar and you're fine. Obviously now knowing no more than he had a stroke. It was his first stroke, and it was told that he'd have hit the ground if he had another stroke, and likely would have died then or shortly after. Thankfully, I had another like 6 months with my dad before he did finally die. He was fine for a little while. We had some, we still went out, we did things, we still gone to rugby games, we still went golfing, we still did all the sort of stuff we did together. It was simple shit like, getting fish and chips and just sitting down, wherever it is, whether it's, eating fish chips in the field or, on the couch, watching Time Team or something, or, wrestling, whatever it was. But he sort of took an interest in because of me, I can't imagine there are many, 60-year-old guys, sort of, especially early 2000s, that watched wrestling, especially in the UK. And then he sort of took an interest in it. So something we spoke about. It'd never be like a high flyers. Like Jeff Hardy we spoke about. It'd be like more technical wrestlers. So Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Benoit. These sort of matches. These much more tactical, more close to like grounded in realism and sort of athleticism sort of stuff that you could more understand. They'd sort of talk about. So we'd speak a little bit. It's probably why I'm still quite a fan of wrestling, and despite what Benoit did out of the ring, he's still what I think probably one of the best professional wrestlers has ever been in his style. I think him and Angle probably brought the best out in each other. Like I think WrestleMania 20 is probably one of the best WrestleManias ever because of the ending with him and Guerrero both with the belts. The main event was one of the best matches of all time, but this is not what this is about. No, I'm gonna be honest. It's the second time filming this because the first time I just wept, and it was 10 minutes long. We hadn't got to anywhere. Yeah. So yeah, we had we had some time together, and he fell ill again, and he was in hospital for I think a good sort of the last 8 weeks of his life, maybe a slightly longer than that. It was a long time, and yeah, he was he went in hospital. We went and see him every day at the visiting times. When he was in different places, we got to see him longer, maybe. Maybe reasonably, we thought he was fine. He started his recovery, stuff like that. And then towards the end, he sort of died around, Wigan and Manchester, wherever, Bolton, he was lots of places. Yeah, and it got to the point where at 13, I wasn't strong enough to sort of see someone who'd been a genuine, I'd like looked up at like a superhero. They were like untouchable. He was, he wasn't the tallest guy in the world, but he had big arms. He was strong. He had some amazing stories. you know, he'd lived a hell of a life and touched a lot of people's lives, you know. Just how many people attended the funeral was like more said about the man than, you know, probably ever will. You know, people still know me as Barry's son, because of how many people he sort of touched and how many people knew him. You know, it's hard to follow someone that amazing. And I struggle with social interactions now. You know, I was pretty confident as a child. You know, especially early on. You know, I grew up in a pub. You know, you know, I'd be in my back garden playing, which was the pub's beer garden, which was, you know, there was the play area frame. You know, it was cool. There was slides, put up whole bridge. You know, like all, you know, anyone's been to a British pub will have seen sort of what it's like. You know, you just end up talking to, you know, like 10 or 15 different kids every day. You know, you just playing, just having fun, meeting new people. Yeah, now I'm not like that. I'm quite hard to get to know, especially on small scale. You know, like the one-on-one, maybe groups of three. I'm not usually the center point of the stories. You know, but you know, in a large group, I tend to do pretty well. Especially if I'm friends with them people. You know, I shine a bit better. I'm sure there's plenty of people who've met me in them events and then seen me later and got to know me. I've been quite surprised how different I am. And those who've met me working in like kitchens and stuff like that as a chef are really surprised how shy I am outside of that sort of thing. Yeah. So anyway, after a good while of seeing my dad not as the superhero, not as these, you know, weak, dying really. I said to my mum that I couldn't see him like that. And, you know, maybe robbed myself of time with my dad for, you know, like 4 weeks. I lost. Because at 13, I wasn't a big, strong man. I couldn't watch someone I loved slowly deteriorate and die. You know, I had every hope that some miracle was going to happen, that he was going to turn out fine, or, you know, everything was going to be good, and, you know, just, I'd wake up at nightmare and everything would be gone. It didn't. Yeah, you know, he died. Yeah, it was rough, and, you know, my sister was much older than me. She understood it more. You know, I know she suffered her own battles, to whatever extent that was. And like one of the things that I've still with me was like, look after your mum and your sister, because like next thing you know, you think you've got to hold in all these feelings and you've got to be there like a rock and be strong, and you don't know what it is to be a man. You don't know, you know, you can talk about your feelings, you don't know all these things, you just know that you've got to be there and be strong. And what is strong? Like, even now, I don't know what's strong. Like, how do you know, like, even now, say if someone comes to you and, you know, says their dog's died or something like that, how do you be there and be strong for them when they're going through emotional pain? You know, it's not a simple question, and it's not something that can be answered blanket. And how do you be strong as a child when you're going through the same pain that they are? And you bottle up. So I bottled up everything, and you know, I'd go to cry on my own in the bedroom. I'd go and just cry, get out, come back, and you know, I don't know. I struggled a long time, and then yeah, so I never admitted to anyone that I hated myself for missing time with my dad when he was ill. Like, truly hated myself. For a long time, a long time. Yeah, till 12 years of not saying it to anyone, and then I finally said it to Rachel, my girlfriend. You know, it was pretty early on in our relationship in the grand scheme of things. just got out of a relationship that was not good for me. Just got in a new one, and I'd been the lowest I've ever been. It was a hard time for me, and everything compounded, and the self hatred and everything, and I didn't want to be it anymore. And I'd reached low, and maybe getting absolutely bottomed out, and still being here, despite everything that happened. Um, yeah, and I finally admit that the reason I hate myself so much is because at 13 I wasn't strong enough to keep going to a hospital to watch my dad die, which I continue to hate myself for until after the second lockdown, when I finally accepted that a 13-year-old isn't going to be strong and can't watch the most important man in our life go from being a big strong man, to not. Yeah, I kind of wondered how it made him feel. Me, still do. Not being there at the end. Such a long time. Yeah, I'm just gonna do the rest of this with my giant snorts on my lap because twice I need a comfort. Yeah. So I wondered how he felt. Because I know from my time was spent with my dad. My mum, was running a pub. My dad couldn't work as much. He'd go down in the morning and do all the cellar stuff and stuff like that, and God knows what else he did. He did stuff, but he couldn't work. The crazy hours he obviously did. Maybe sort of the early years of my life, I spent more time with my dad than, comparative my sister did, because he was working, and, my mum often talks about how she'd pass my dad on the stairs and, hand the child across because I had to go work, and, pubs were open, the hours, and, thankfully, at the time it was quite common for pubs closed 3 till 5, so, I got picked up from school and stuff like that, and we had, some sort of food together, just like after work, after school and stuff together, but, it was never a lot. Yeah. So yeah, it was hard. So I struggled through it, and so yeah, and then pretty recently, it still upsets me, but I don't hate myself for it, and maybe I deserve better than doing it myself. Maybe I deserve some good. 14 years of sort of holding on to hatred myself, is long enough. We need to give up on it and, be better. Yeah. I wasn't exactly the best person after it for a long time. It's hard. But yeah, obviously now, yeah, I'm gonna start doing everything to be better. Yeah, I'm looking at probably the open uni or something like that. I finally got a job with evenings off that maybe I can do something to better myself. So I think I'm gonna start looking to, I don't know, uni courses that I can do remotely or stuff, or evening or whatever, or something like, or maybe open uni or something, where I can go and do like health and fitness and nutrition. Fitness and nutrition probably I think is the one I'd be most interested in, and then hopefully do well in that. Maybe go do a masters in like strength and conditioning and stuff like that, and become a really good coach, and yeah, it's going to take me up until my 30s to do something. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been broken for a while, and I finally built myself up to a spot where I feel I deserve to do myself better. So yeah, my gym finally got an open date. So from the 30th September, I'm gonna be going back at the gym, looking after myself and doing some good. I've got a hell of a cut to come. The guys who saw my thing when I was doing the 36 weeks physique, I got some pretty okay results. The initial cut was really good. I'm pretty sure that's my logo on this from that. So yeah, I'm gonna do better than that. I'm gonna use Instagram as my weekly share thing. To keep me motivated and sort of say how the week's been. What my weight loss has been. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. We're gonna go to at least 82 kgs. We're gonna see how we feel there. I think once we hit 82 kgs, we'll probably do a bit of like maybe a main gain or something like that. But yeah, but there's obviously room for a recomp during this cut because I've lost some size, muscular. So hopefully muscle memory will bring that back, and I've gained quite a lot of fat. So I'm in a position where I can hopefully get some back of them gains and lose quite a lot of fat, in all fairness, and hopefully be looking good and feeling happy about myself at least. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. I know this video has been really long, and you guys made it to the end. Thank you. Don't worry, all my videos aren't going to be like this. We're gonna do. I think close to my maybe. The next video I was going to do was a body recomp. Maybe I'll move that back to when the gym opens, and I can talk about the plan when I finalise sort of what I'm going to be doing. So I'm really going to plan that out, hash it out, and get it printed up and stick to it. For at least 12 weeks, possibly longer, maybe 20 weeks, something like that. A solid cut and just sort of stick to it. But I'm going to be going 5 days a week for weights. Hopefully I'll be back wrestling as well, 1 day a week, which more than anything is going to be some good cardio and coordination, stretching and stuff like that. So that's going to be pretty good for me. And yeah, and hopefully doing some foam rolling and cardio every day. But yeah, guys, if you made it this far, thank you. My video on Saturday is going to be the review of the MyProtein Vimto protein, which I'm really excited about because obviously I'm from Manchester. I love fucking Vimto. So yeah, guys, thanks. It's been hard. It's been quite hard to talk about. I thought it'd be much as easy as it was. Me and Snarks, guys. We're doing good. We're doing fine. Thank you. Mike out.
Hey, I wish you could see yourself. You're sitting there